Good morning. Today we are going to discuss how to apply for SSDI benefits. So first, what are SSDI benefits? Social Security Disability Insurance benefits are monthly payments made to individuals with a disability or blind who also meet certain work requirements. Not everyone gets the same amount of SSDI benefits each month. Your monthly SSDI benefit amount is based on your income that you made while you were able to work and what you then paid into the Social Security system. You can get an estimate of your monthly benefit amount by logging into your My Social Security account. Who qualifies for SSDI benefits? If you are under age 65 and you are blind or disabled, and you have worked and paid into Social Security for a set amount of time, you may qualify for SSDI benefits. We keep talking about these work requirements, so here they are. Generally speaking, you need 40 total credits, which equates to 10 years of work. You can earn up to 4 credits a year, and 20 of those 40 credits must have been earned in the last 10 years, ending with the year your disability begins. So basically, I often tell clients, you have to have worked 5 of the last 10 years, and you have to have paid into the Social Security system 5 of the last 10 years. As I said, you can earn up to 4 credits a year, and in 2022, for every $1,510 in covered earnings you earn, you'll get 1 credit. So that means that as soon as you earn $6,040 in 2022, you will have earned your maximum 4 credits for the year. Don't stop working because the amount that you pay in also has an impact on your monthly SSDI amount, but that's the bare minimum. If you earn $6,040 this year, then you will have earned your maximum 4 credits and you are quote unquote insured for the year. Younger individuals, though, may qualify with fewer credits. So here is kind of a chart, basically, pulled directly from the Social Security's website that outlines how many years of work you need if you become disabled. So for example, let's say you became disabled at the age of 27. You generally need 1.5 years of work. So if you've graduated college and you've gotten 1.5 years of work under your belt and you unfortunately become disabled, then you may qualify for SSDI benefits. If you're age 50, then you generally need 7 years of work in order to qualify for Social Security disability benefits. SSDI benefits follow a 5-step evaluation process. Social Security, when they get the application for SSDI, this is the 5-step process that they begin. Number 1, they're going to look to see, are you engaging in substantial gainful activity? Substantial gainful activity is work that you do typically for pay, but if you are a big volunteer and you volunteer 40 hours a week, that's also considered substantial gainful activity. If you are engaging in substantial gainful activity, the 5-step process stops there. Social Security will not evaluate any more about your medical condition or anything. If you are engaging in substantial gainful activity, you cannot be found disabled. If you are not engaging in substantial gainful activity, Social Security moves to step number 2, which is, do you have any severe medically determinable impairments? If you don't, again, the evaluation stops there, you're not disabled. If you do have at least one severe medically determinable impairment, Social Security will move to step 3, which is, do you meet or equal a listing? The Social Security Administration maintains a listing of impairments that's got several impairments with several different body parts focused on very severe conditions. And if your condition meets or equals one of those listings, then you can be found disabled at step 3. If you do not meet or equal one of those listings, then the evaluation continues and Social Security will create a residual functional capacity for you based on your medical records. That residual functional capacity, or RFC, is basically the type of work that Social Security thinks you can do. Social Security will evaluate how many hours they think you can sit, stand, walk, how much weight you can lift and carry, whether you have any limitations in dealing with others, such as supervisors, coworkers, or the general public, whether you can keep up with a fast-paced production or a quota system. All of that gets combined into your RFC. Social Security uses that RFC to then compare it to your past work. Past work is work you've done in the last 15 years at substantial gainful activity levels. If you can go back to your past work under the RFC that Social Security has created for you, you're not disabled. If you cannot return to your past work under the RFC that Social Security has created for you, then they go to step 5 and they look at, can you engage in other work? At this stage, they will look at the Dictionary of Occupational Titles to see if there are other jobs that exist in the national economy that such an individual with your age, education, work history, and RFC are capable of doing. If there is no other work that you can do based on those factors, then you'll be found disabled at step 5. If there are other jobs that you can do based on those factors, then unfortunately, that's when we get an unfavorable disability decision and your disability is denied. So before you submit the application, what kind of information will you need to gather to submit that application? Of course, you'll need basic information such as your name, your date of birth, your social security number, your address. They do ask for direct deposit information. All social security benefits are paid via direct deposit. So they do ask for that. It's not a scam. Make sure though that you are on ssa.gov when you're providing that information, not some other website. Social Security will also need information on your current marriage and any prior marriages, and they'll ask information about your citizenship status. Additionally, you will need to know the date you became unable to work, your work history for the past 15 years, a complete list of all the doctors, clinics, and hospitals you've seen for your conditions. They'll also ask for information about any income that you've got. That includes any state or local assistance, TANF benefits, veteran benefits, other Social Security benefits that you're receiving. And a copy of the SSDI application can be found there at that link. The way you can apply for SSDI benefits if you are an adult between ages 18 and 64, you can apply online. That link right there will take you directly to the Social Security Administration website. Again, be careful. Anytime you're putting your personal information on the internet, make sure you know the website. So that website right there, ssa.gov, will take you to the Social Security Administration. You can also apply by phone. That 800 number is the national number for Social Security, and you can apply with your local office. That link right there, if you click it, well, you'll need to put it into your browser, and it will take you to a page where you can put in your zip code. And once you put in your zip code, you'll find out the address, phone number, contact information for your local office. It's important to note that right now, while I am recording this in January of 2022, local offices are still largely closed throughout the country. So you can't just show up one morning and say, I need to apply for SSDI benefits, because there will be no one there. So to do that, what I would recommend is to find your local office and call them. They will likely guide you to apply online because that is the most efficient way to apply. But if you insist on doing it over the phone, they should be able to help you with that as well. So here we are. If you apply online, this is what the web page looks like. So it's important, again, I cannot stress enough to make sure that the web page is ssa.gov. So here you can see it's secure.ssa.gov, and you'll want to go under apply and complete, and you'll start a new application. Once you click that, it'll ask you who is completing the application. If you're applying for yourself, of course, that's what you click. If you are helping someone else, you can click I am helping someone, and then they will ask for your information and the individual who you are helping. You can't just go apply for disability benefits willy-nilly for whoever you want. They do have to be aware, and you do need their information while you're submitting it. So here's a little bit of kind of what it looks like. Once you get in, it'll ask for the information about the applicant. That's where you'll put your name, your social, your date of birth, as long as you're the claimant. So you'll fill out that information. And here we go. What date did the applicant become unable to work? So that's the day that you stopped working. That's the day that you got into the accident. That's the day that you had surgery. That's the day that whatever is preventing you from working, that's the date that you became unable to work. Okay. It'll also ask if you've previously been denied for benefits within the last 60 days, because if you have, they're going to guide you to file an appeal, not a whole new application. All right. So here is, I've redacted it a little bit because this is a client that I was helping go through the process. So once you kind of put in your information, if you're helping someone else, it'll ask for your information. So you'll put in the claimant's information, then you'll put in yours. And then it'll ask for contact information. It'll ask for birth and citizenship information. And then it gives you this reentry number. This number is critical that you write down. If you do not write it down and you have to stop in the middle of the application for whatever reason, and you don't have this number handy, you're not going to be able to re-enter and go start where you stopped. You're going to have to start a whole new application. So it's very important that you write down this reentry number. When I'm doing it with clients, I usually either copy and paste it into their in their case file, or I'll print it. So that way I'm sure that I've got it. And I know before I hit save and exit, I can look over at my printer and see, okay, got it. So I can go ahead and exit. I've got the reentry number. The other thing that this page shows you is that if you want to apply for SSI, in addition to SSDI, you have got to do that over the phone. And actually 2 weeks ago, our Wednesday webinar covered how to apply for SSI. So you can go back and watch that one if you'd like. But basically, it also tells you that if you want to apply for SSI benefits, you have until this date to do it. Here, it's about 2 months out. It's March 6th of 2022. This application was done on January 5th. So you've got to reach out to Social Security in the next few months. Really, the sooner the better. Also, once this is submitted, they will send a hard copy of the application. If you're filling it out for someone else, they'll send that hard copy to that person to sign and send back. So it's important that when they get that hard copy, they sign it and send it back right away, because as you can see here, if they don't receive that signed copy back by July 6th, then you might have to start all over again. Additional identification information that Social Security will ask for in this first set of the process is any other names that you've used. This includes any maiden names. If you've been married before and took the spouse's last name, those prior names, make sure to include those. And they'll also ask, of course, about any other Social Security numbers that you've used. So here we go. Here we're getting into the general information part of the application. So it will ask for your marriage information if you're currently married. If you are, it goes through. It asks for your spouse's first and last name, their social, their date of birth, where you were married, the date you were married, how you were married. It asks for that type of information. And it'll also ask that type of information about any prior marriages that lasted for 10 years or more, or if a prior marriage ended due to your spouse's death, regardless of duration. So if you were married for 2 years and it ended due to your spouse's death, that does constitute a prior marriage that you'll want to put on your disability application. Additional general information that's included in that application is information about your children. They're most concerned about minors under the age of 18, children that are between ages 18 and 19 but are still in elementary or secondary education, or children who are older than 18 but who became disabled prior to the age of 22. Additionally, Social Security will ask if you have any military service prior to 1968. As I said, Social Security will want to know some employer details. At the beginning part, they are just focused on employers that you worked for last year and this year. They'll want to know the dates of employment for all employers last year and this year. If you did any self-employment, again, just last year and this year. For that, they'll want to know what kind of trades you were involved in, the dates, the income. They'll want your total estimated earnings for last year and for this year. It's not critical that you hit it right down to the penny. Social Security does confer with the IRS, and they do get that information from them. But this is just so they have a ballpark idea to go kind of with that substantial gainful activity we were talking about, so they can do rough calculations. So it's important to just estimate. They'll also want to know if you ever worked in a job where Social Security taxes were not deducted or withheld, and if your spouse worked for the railroad for 5 years or more. After you get through all that information, here's where we've got the direct deposit details. I wanted to screenshot this and show you so that way you can see, as of at least 2 weeks ago, how Social Security was asking for that direct deposit information. So you would click here, you would click yes, I do, and then you would input that information. I think it asks if it's got a checking or a savings. It'll ask for the routing number, and it'll ask for the account number. So you'll want to have all of that information, which you can usually find from a check. Also, on the other benefits part of the application, they'll want to know, are your conditions related to work in any way? Are you now able to work? When did you become unable to work? So there's that date again. So that's important date. When did you become unable to work? Social Security also wants to know if you have a parent who receives 1/2 of their support from you. So that's an additional question. Now we're getting into the conditions part. This is step 2. So you'll want to list all of the physical or mental conditions, everything. So if you see a doctor for it, if you've got it, add it to this list: back pain, knee pain, and be as specific as you can. If you know your specific diagnoses, you can certainly include that. If all you know is it's your lumbar spine or your low back, then you can just write first condition, low back pain. If you have more than 10 conditions, you'll check that box at the end. And usually what I do is kind of at the end of this application, I'll list whatever the other additional conditions are. So that way, Social Security is made aware of them. Okay, Social Security will also kind of here, they'll ask for your height and they'll ask for your weight. Here is where you'll put in all of the doctors, clinics, hospitals. So as you can see on the right side here, it'll ask doctors and hospitals. If you've got an individual doctor, that's kind of where you can put this information. Even if they're with a clinic, it's up to you where you would like to put them. I usually put them all under hospitals and clinics, but if you see just one doctor, you can absolutely add that here. They do on the next for hospitals kind of allow for you to put a specific doctor. If you saw that, that's fine too. But here, as you can see, if you don't want to list the doctors at a hospital here. If you saw Dr. Smith for your GI issues while you were in the hospital, and you saw Dr. Jones for your knee while you were in the hospital, you don't want to list that here. But if you see Dr. Smith or Dr. Jones at their own offices, that's what you would want to put here. When you're adding the doctors, hospitals, and clinics, you'll need to know the names of the doctors, the hospitals, and the clinics, the addresses, the phone numbers, the date you were first seen, the date you were most recently seen, and if it's a doctor's or a clinic, then you'll want to put the date of your next appointment if you have that. You'll also need to include the conditions that you receive treatment for and the types of treatment that you receive. What do you see the doctor for? Do they do radiofrequency ablations? Do they just do evaluations? Do they do counseling? Do they do physical therapy? Did you see them for surgery? What types of treatment did you receive? It's important for hospitals on the application. It'll differentiate by inpatient, outpatient, or emergency department. So if you were seen inpatient, it'll ask for those dates. And you want to get as specific as you can. If you can't remember if it was, January 13th or January 17th, just put January 2021, if that's when you were seen. And same with outpatient. If you were seen at an outpatient facility for, let's say, a surgery, you'll go ahead and you'll put January 17th, 2021, same with the emergency department. As specific as you can. If you don't even remember the month, if you can put the season, do you remember, was it hot out? Was it cold out? What was going on? Were there holidays coming up? As specific as you can get. Obviously, the exact date is going to be best because that tells Social Security what they need to be looking for. Whereas if you do kind of a ballpark, like spring of 2021, they don't know really what month they're looking for, and they don't know if they have a complete set of records. So it's important to be as specific as you can. And again, if that is just by season, then that is what it is, but try to be as specific as possible. Social Security will also ask about any tests. This includes any imaging, any EEGs, nerve conduction studies, sleep studies, stress tests, and more. Any test, when you get to that page in the application, it'll have a drop-down menu of popular types of tests, and you'll put in the test type, the date. If you had it several times, then you can put in, I've had this test more than once, and you can kind of add notes to say I had it, my first one was February 2021, my second one was July 2021. For imaging too, they'll ask about body parts. So, I had an MRI of my cervical spine in June of 2021. So that kind of thing. You'll also need to know what facility you had that at. If you already provided that facility's information, I believe it should auto-populate, but if not, again, you should have it written down, so just transfer it over to here. Social Security will also ask about your medications. They'll want to know the name of the prescription, who prescribed it for you, why are you taking it? What condition is it supposed to help? Is it for your back, your anxiety, your high blood pressure, your high cholesterol? Is it supposed to help your, your neuropathy in your feet? What is the purpose of taking the medication? And do you have any side effects from it? Sometimes side effects are hard to pinpoint which medication is causing it, especially if you're put on 3 medications at one time and all of a sudden you start feeling tired every day. You don't know which one it is. It's okay to say, I'm not sure which medication is causing, but here are my side effects. Social Security also needs to know your work history and your education. This is the past 15 years. They will want to know your work history for the last 15 years. They'll need to know your job title, the company or the industry that you were working in, the date you started, the date you ended. They also like to know your pay. And that kind of puts it in a ballpark. Again, if you worked for the same company for all 15 years, you may have started at minimum wage. And by the time you left, you were making good money because you were a manager. So you'll want to kind of separate that as best you can. In that case, let's say you worked for a grocery store and you started out as a bagger, and by the time you left, you were on a salary. So it's probably a little difficult to go back in your memory 15, 20, 25 years and remember, shoot, how much was I making when I first started? And when I stopped that position and moved up to cashier, it is sometimes hard to remember. It's okay to ballpark. And anytime you ballpark something, including the dates you start and end, including the pay, just make a note of that. And then at the end of the application, it'll give you a spot for remarks. And you can put in there, I couldn't remember the exact date I started and stopped. I couldn't remember my exact pay, so I estimated it. And that way they know that, okay, this is not, gospel, but it gives us an idea of what your work history is. They'll also ask about your education. They'll want to know your highest level of education, the year you most recently completed any education, and the name of the school. At the end, it'll give you a spot to sign a release form electronically. You can only do this if you are the claimant. If you are helping someone else apply and they're not with you, you cannot sign the release form for them. They need to be the one to either electronically sign it or to sign it for real in person when they get that copy of the application. So again, if you are not the claimant and you are helping someone and that someone is not with you, you cannot sign the release form for them without them. They need to be the one to make that electronic signature. If not, it's not a big deal. Social Security will mail a hard copy to the applicant so that way they can sign it and send it back. It's an SSA 827 and it allows Social Security to request your medical records. Social Security sends that form along with a typed request to all of your doctors, clinics, and hospitals to get a copy of the medical records. This is critical. So if you are the claimant, you can, I believe, electronically sign it as of right now. Otherwise, you can also print it and sign it. Either way, Social Security absolutely needs this form in order to properly analyze your claim. So once you've submitted your application, Social Security will provide confirmation that they've received it. They will review it. They will use that SSA 827 to get all those medical records. Social Security will contact you if they need any additional information or documentation, which includes assistance in obtaining medical records. Sometimes medical offices are not the best at responding to record requests. We witness that as well in our own private practice. So sometimes Social Security does need your help in getting them. Sometimes a call from the patient to say, hey, I applied for disability benefits and Social Security has sent 3 requests. They've not received a response. What can they do? Where should they send it to? Can they send it to your attention? How can I get these records? Can I come pick them up and send them to Social Security? What's going to be the quickest way so Social Security can get those records? Because while Social Security does do that to help you and they can be more efficient than you doing it, if they're having a hard time, you do want to do everything you can to help them help you. They do need those medical records to find you disabled. In addition to sometimes needing help obtaining medical records, Social Security will often send supplemental questionnaires. And those questionnaires ask questions for you to answer as the claimant. So that way Social Security and the person reviewing your file can better understand what you go through on a day-to-day basis. What kind of limitations do you have? Are you responsible for caring for children, for animals? Are you able to go grocery shopping? Can you leave the house by yourself? Where's your pain? What kind of pain is it? How often do you have it? So those kinds of questions, I usually tell clients are kind of like testimony without having to go before a judge. So it's your opportunity to truthfully explain to Social Security what kind of limitations your conditions give you. They've got the medical record component. This component is the more personal component. So that way you have an opportunity to tell Social Security what you experience daily. After receiving everything, Social Security, the adjudicator, and a doctor that often works for Social Security reviews the file, and they will make a decision on the claim, and they will mail it to you. If that is a denial, there's 2 types of denials that often come out. There's a medical denial and a non-medical denial. Medical denials happen all the time. It'll say if you are it'll say you are not disabled according to our rules. My thought on that is if you are disabled, appeal the decision. Confirm when you look at that form denial letter. It's a form basically that everybody gets the same one. The only difference is the impairments, the treating sources. Sometimes it'll be kind of your date last insured that they'll need to put in there. But basically, you'll want to confirm that the parts that are specific to you are correct. So confirm that they listed all your impairments. Confirm that they got medical records from all of your treating sources. If they didn't, that's going to be something you're going to want to notate in your appeal to say, I also suffer from low back pain, and that did not seem to be considered. You didn't receive records from my orthopedic. You didn't receive records from my surgery. That's kind of a big deal. So it's important to confirm that all of your impairments and all of your treating sources are listed on that denial letter. If it's a non-medical reason, you'll want to confirm that that is correct. If it's incorrect, you can appeal. So common non-medical denials with SSDI benefits, the most common is you don't have enough work credits. And at that point, Social Security, they haven't even reviewed your medical. They just looked at your case. They looked at your profile basically within Social Security, and they said, you don't have enough credits. You don't qualify for SSDI benefits. If you do have enough credits and you've been working since you were 16 and you've been paying into Social Security since you were 16, appeal and let them know that. You will likely need to provide proof of all of that, but at least you can preserve that appeal timeline to say, no, I've been working since I was 16. I'm now 47. I should have enough work credits. I want to file my appeal. And then you can kind of start getting the evidence together to submit to Social Security. Another common non-medical denial is if you're still working. If you're earning above $1,200 a month, then you're earning more than SGA, and Social Security is not going to be able to find you disabled. It's been a true pleasure talking with you today. I appreciate your time and attendance. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, send us an email. Because Social Security is a federal practice area, we can assist clients throughout the United States. Our main office is in St. Johns County, Florida, but you can give us a call, send us an email. Again, Social Security is a federal administrative practice area. We assist clients in all 50 states. Even if it's something, a simple question that you have, we are always happy to help. If you've got an appeal that you have questions about, feel free to call. If we can help in any way, please reach out. Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching this, and stay well.